Joining us for more on the Fed's rate hiking campaign, plus the latest on the debt ceiling, is Glenn Hubbard. He is former chairman of the White House Council of Economic Advisors under President George W. Bush, and now an economics professor at Columbia Business School. Also, Jason Furman, who's also a former chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors. He served under President Obama, and Jason is now an economics professor at Harvard's Kennedy School of Government. So, gentlemen, Paul Tudor Jones probably right, probably Austin Goolsbee right on this, that they're not going to hike rates any further from here. But the question becomes, how long do they leave these rates high? And that's the real debate between the Fed and the market at this point. Glenn, what do you think? You think we'll see a rate cut before the end of the year?
I think the Fed's going to have to hold the funds rate for a while. Inflation is still relatively sticky, way apart from the Fed's target. Monetary policy is tighter than it looks because of credit crunch elements, probably about 100 basis points extra effective funds rate from that. So it's pretty tight, but I don't think cutting is in the cards in the coming months. I think the Fed is right about that.
Jason, how about you? I think I know what you think.
I think the Fed's going to pause at the next meeting. But if you told me the Fed is going to make a move in the next 4 months, I would tell you I think that move is a rate hike, not a rate cut. You look at core inflation, underlying inflation, it's been stuck at about a 4.5% pace. It's barely made any progress. History says it's not easy to bring it down. I agree with Glenn that the credit crunch may be enough to get it down, but look at those retail sales numbers you were just talking about. There's a lot of strength in this economy. So if the Fed moves, I think it's more likely that they're going to have to hike. I don't think they're going to be able to cut very easily in the near future.
Glenn, I see you nodding at that. Are you in agreement on that point, too?
Yeah, completely. As I said, I think the Fed cannot really cut at the moment, given its inflation target and how stuck inflation is.
But raising could be their next move if there is another move to come this year?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Let's talk through what we just saw from the numbers Rick was pointing out, and then what's happening with T-bills, with the yields on them. I mean, it's been crazy to watch. Rick pointed out yesterday we saw the highest one-month T-bill auction yield that we've ever seen. What would you have thought? Both of you were advising at the Council of Economic Advisors in charge there. What would you think if you were in that position still and seeing these type of moves in short-term treasuries? Jason, you first.
Yeah, look, I mean, they're not telling us anything about the economy. They're telling us something about the debt limit brinksmanship. And even just the brinksmanship itself has a cost. It's completely unnecessary. You know, I would have loved to have seen the debt limit abolished, seen a clean increase, but the faster they can get to some sort of agreement that involves discretionary caps, permitting, and the debt limit, clearly that's where this is going to end up. Sooner the better.
Glenn?
I would agree with that. I think there's an agreement to be had with some near-term restraint, for example, returning unspent COVID funds, some near-term spending limitations. But really what we need is a pivot to a budget framework that, if followed, we would just have clean debt ceiling increases. This periodic theater, as Jason suggests, is just not very productive.
Jason, I'm just trying to figure out what the actual role of the debt ceiling is, because when we talk about it, what you just said. So on the one hand, let's say we get rid of it, so there's never a debt ceiling that needs to be raised. If Congress spends the money, we're gonna cover it without a debt ceiling raise. I guess that's one option. Would that be a bad option? Because the other option is, if we do have a debt ceiling, the reason it's there is so we take a step back and at that point say, in the future, we got to cap something, or we got, here it is. This is too high. We've spent too much. We got to. So it's like, if you're going to have one, it seems like you have to use it to try to, moderate spending in the future. Otherwise, why have one at all? That's why I don't understand. It's like a catch-22.
Look, Joe, I think it's a really costly way to bring that about. The brinksmanship always costs us.
Can we get rid of it?
And there are other mechanisms.
There's
other mechanisms there. The discretionary appropriations.
Right.
Yeah, I'd get rid of it. And by the way, in 2019, we got a deal that had higher spending levels in exchange for raising the debt limit. So
depends on
so I'd use the annual appropriations as the way to force things, and then beyond that, really, we want to deal with revenue and entitlements. Those are the two big pieces in dealing with the long-run deficit picture, and unfortunately, neither one of them is
Jason,
really under discussion right now.
Would you ever use the 14th Amendment and try to actually bring the case?
Look, I think it's worth them studying every single option. My guess is that option is definitely a bad one. I think it might be a truly terrible one if you didn't.
It may be a terrible one to use in the moment, but the question is there some legal way to effectively bring that kind of case when it's not up for grabs so that you could actually establish some real case law around it if you thought that was a winning argument?
I'm not a legal expert, so I can't tell you if it's a winning argument, but I wouldn't want to be rolling the dice on that at a time like this. You asked about doing it outside of a time like this. I don't know how you'd get something like that to the court. I think, unfortunately, Congress probably needs to get rid of this once and for all at some point, maybe in exchange for some broader budget path forward. But that's not where we are now. Now we need to just get through the next year or two.
Glenn, we'll give you the last quick word.
Yeah, really, what we need is a long-term budget framework, not a debt ceiling battle, not a battle over the 14th Amendment. When we have that, we'll get sanity back.